You are listening to an audiobook on Unlock Your Success Habits, where your wisdom is always respected. Wishing you success and an abundance of positive energy every single day. There is a moment in every person's life when they realize that their words are not being heard, not truly heard. They speak, but the air feels empty after the sound fades. They give instructions, but people forget them. They share ideas, but the room remains unmoved. And in those moments, the quiet truth presses in. It is not enough to talk. You must make people feel your voice. You must make them carry your words with them after they leave your presence. I know this truth because I have lived on both sides of it. On the side where my words scattered like dry leaves in the wind, and on the side where my voice became an anchor in the middle of chaos. The difference between those two realities was not luck. It was not title. It was the decision to learn how to speak so people remember. If you stay with me until the last page, you will not just learn to speak with clarity and confidence. You will understand how to shape your voice into a tool of influence, a bridge that carries your message from your mind into the hearts of others. You will discover how to cut through noise without shouting, how to hold a room without forcing it, and how to leave a mark in conversations that would otherwise dissolve into nothing. This is not about being a performer. This is about becoming someone whose voice naturally commands respect because it is rooted in truth, discipline, and presence. It is about building a way of speaking that not only changes how people see you, but how they act after hearing you. It is your presence made audible. It is the audible reflection of your certainty, your values, and your inner strength. When your words carry conviction, people feel safe to follow you. When they sense hesitation, they drift away, even if your ideas are good. Too many people believe leadership begins with position. It does not. It begins when you decide that every word you speak will mean something, that you will no longer waste air on weak talk, on fillers, on the kind of language that gives people permission to forget you. True leadership begins when your words become as deliberate as your actions. I want you to see something clearly before we move forward. The strength of your voice will either build or break the life you are trying to create. Opportunities do not just appear. They are invited by presence. Relationships do not just deepen. They grow in the soil of trust. And trust is built when people know that your words are steady and true. The way you speak tells the world how to treat you. If your speech is hesitant, your life will be full of hesitation. If your words are clear and firm, your path will be lined with clarity and respect. Your voice is both a mirror and a compass. It reflects who you are now, and it points to where you are going. We will replace soft, uncertain language with words that carry weight. We will build the discipline to prepare before speaking, so that every message comes from a place of clarity, not guesswork. We will train your tone so it matches your meaning. Steady when you are serious, warm when you are building connection, sharp when you need to cut through confusion. You will learn how to use silence like a weapon, how to hold your ground when someone challenges you, and how to speak in a way that moves people to act without manipulation. And we will do all of it without losing your humanity. Because true leadership communication is not about pretending to be perfect. It is about being real enough that people trust you, and strong enough that they follow you. I will tell you this now. It is about changing the way you think, the way you carry yourself, and the way you see your own worth. Weak talk is not an accident. It is a reflection of weak belief. And to change your speech, you must first change your belief about what you have to say. You must decide that your voice is not a decoration. It is a tool, a weapon, a gift. If you keep treating it as something casual, you will keep getting casual results. But if you start treating it like the instrument it is, it will open doors you once thought were locked. If you have ever walked out of a meeting wishing you had said what you truly meant, this book is for you. If you have ever watched someone else win respect you knew you deserved, this book is for you. If you have ever stayed silent when you should have spoken because you feared your words would not land, this book is for you. You do not need to become someone else to speak like a leader. You need to become more of yourself, more certain, more deliberate, more present. You need to build a voice that does not apologize for existing. So as we begin, I will ask you to make a quiet promise to yourself. Promise that you will no longer throw away words. Promise that you will speak only when you mean it, and mean it every time you speak. Promise that you will no longer pad your truth with unnecessary softness just to be liked. Promise that you will stand behind your voice even when it shakes, and promise that you will keep going through every chapter until your voice is no longer something you try to control. It is something that naturally leads. By the time you finish this book, you will have a voice that does not just fill space, but changes it. You will have a presence that enters a room before you speak and lingers after you leave. You will have the courage to say what others avoid, the discipline to say it well, and the wisdom to say it at the right time. And when that happens, you will not just talk like a leader. You will be one. There is a reason some people speak, and the whole room leans in while others speak, and the sound seems to evaporate before it even reaches the walls. The difference is not the volume of the voice or the complexity of the language. It is the ownership of the words. When you own your words, you stand behind them as if they are a reflection of who you are. You do not treat them as disposable. You do not scatter them carelessly. Every syllable carries your weight, your certainty, and your conviction. And people can feel that. They may not be able to explain it, but they know it when they hear it. This person believes what they are saying. Most people speak halfway. They lace their sentences with, I think, maybe, I guess, or I am not sure, as if cushioning their message from rejection. But every time you soften your statement to protect yourself, you weaken your impact. You are telling the listener, do not hold me accountable for this. I am not certain enough to stand on it. And the truth is, nobody follows uncertainty. Nobody is inspired by hesitation. Nobody remembers words that sound like they could be taken back at any moment. Leaders speak as though their words are a stake driven into the ground, clear, immovable, and deliberate. This does not mean you have to be loud, arrogant, or aggressive. Confidence is not about volume. It is about presence. It is the quiet steadiness that tells people you have thought through what you are saying, that you believe in it, enough to risk disagreement, and that you are not speaking just to fill silence. But when you have taken the time to think, to clarify, and to strip your message down to its purest form, your delivery changes. Your words land with weight because they have already been tested in your mind before they leave your lips. And let us be clear, ownership of your words is more than how you sound. It is how you live. If your actions contradict your speech, your voice will carry the hollow ring of hypocrisy. People may nod politely, but inside, they will not follow you. True confidence grows when your life and your language match. When you speak about discipline and people can see discipline in your habits. When you talk about integrity and your track record proves it. When your words are not just instructions, but a reflection of your own standard. That alignment makes your voice impossible to ignore. One of the most destructive habits to your presence is apologizing for your truth. Many people shrink their message to make others more comfortable, avoiding sharp edges so nobody feels challenged. But leadership is not about being liked. It is about being clear. You do not have to be rude to be firm. You do not have to attack to be strong. But you do have to stop bending your voice into shapes that fit everyone else's expectations. When you dilute your truth, you dilute your influence. Owning your words also means cutting the noise. Remove the fillers that take up space without adding meaning. Drop the you knows, kind ofs, and sort ofs that make your voice sound hesitant. Speak clean. Speak direct. Speak direct. Speak direct. Speak direct. You begin to speak from your gut, not your fear. And people notice. They stop testing you. They start trusting you. They lean forward because they can sense you are not guessing. You are guiding. If you want to lead, you must decide that your words are not free. They cost something. They cost the effort to prepare, the courage to be real, and the discipline to match them with your actions. And when you pay that cost, your voice gains power. You begin to carry yourself differently. You no longer enter a room hoping to be heard. You enter, knowing you have something worth saying. That is when you stop sounding like you are trying to be a leader and start sounding like you already are one. If you have listened this far, chances are you are ready to stop speaking halfway. So here is your challenge. For the next 24 hours, strip every I think, maybe, and I guess from your speech. Replace them with clear statements. Say what you mean and mean it fully. Notice how people respond. Notice how you feel inside. You might be surprised to find that confidence is not something you wait for. It is something you create by speaking like every word matters. You might help them step into the kind of voice they have always had, but never owned. And remember to follow so you do not miss the next lesson. Clarity is not a luxury in leadership. It is the foundation. You can be intelligent, charismatic, and well-intentioned. But if people cannot clearly understand what you are saying, your influence ends before it begins. Too many voices fade into the background, not because their ideas lack value, but because their delivery is tangled, rushed, or clouded with unnecessary complexity. People cannot follow what they cannot understand. And the truth is, they will not work very hard to figure you out. If your words do not land cleanly, they will fill in the blanks themselves. And almost always, those guesses will not be in your favor. Clarity begins long before you open your mouth. It starts with knowing exactly what you want to say. Scattered thoughts produce scattered speech. Leaders think through their ideas until they can be expressed simply and directly. This means stripping away the fluff, resisting the urge to sound impressive, and focusing on being understood. Many people confuse clarity with simplicity, but they are not the same. Simplicity is the product of deep thinking. It is the distillation of complexity into language anyone can follow. That is the kind of speaking that builds trust. When people understand you, they feel secure in your guidance. One of the most common enemies of clarity is speed. Insecure speakers rush their words, as if afraid that a pause will make them seem unprepared. But rushing only blurs your message. It robs your words of their weight. Slow down. Own your pace. Give your listeners time to process what you are saying. A deliberate rhythm communicates control. It tells people you have nothing to hide and nothing to prove. A leader meets people where they are, speaking in terms they understand, without talking down to them. This is not about dumbing down your ideas. It is about making sure they can be used. If the people you lead cannot repeat your message in their own words, you have not spoken clearly enough. Clarity is also a matter of structure. Too many speakers throw information at people in the order it comes to mind. The result is a conversation full of half-built points and unfinished thoughts. Strong communicators know how to guide the listener step by step. They choose a main idea and build everything else around it. They avoid jumping to unrelated points. They do not try to cover every detail in one breath. Instead, they trust that a focused message will have more impact than a scattered one. Your tone plays a silent but powerful role in clarity. The same words can land differently depending on how they are said. A flat tone drains life from even the most important message, while an erratic tone leaves people unsure of your intent. Align your tone with your meaning. If the topic is serious, sound serious. If it is urgent, let urgency show in your energy, but without panic. Mixed signals in your tone lead to mixed results in your influence. Your body language, too, is part of the message. People read you as much as they hear you. If your words say one thing, but your posture, face, or gestures say another, they will trust the nonverbal over the verbal. Stand tall, make eye contact, and show you are present. Every email, every meeting, every phone call is a chance to sharpen your delivery. You build clarity by making it a habit, not a performance. And over time, people will come to expect that when you speak, they will leave with a clear understanding of what matters. Here is your challenge. Over the next week, make it your goal to deliver every important message in one clean sentence before adding anything else. Shape it until it is impossible to misunderstand. You will be surprised how much more people respond when your point is unmistakable. If you found this chapter helpful, share it with someone who needs to cut through the noise in their own conversations. And follow along, because the next step will take you deeper into mastering the one tool that shapes every message you deliver: your voice itself. Your voice is more than sound. It is your presence, your energy, and your emotional state wrapped into a single stream of expression. People do not just listen to what you say, they listen to how you say it. If your voice is steady, they feel steady. If your voice shakes, they feel uncertain. Before anyone will trust your leadership, they will test the stability of your voice, often without even realizing it. That is why controlling your voice is not optional. It is the very foundation of influence. Think about it. In a crisis, people instinctively look for the calmest presence in the room. They do not always choose the loudest voice or the most technically skilled person. They choose the one whose tone says, "I am not here to impress you. I am here to guide you." That steadiness communicates safety. It tells them you are not likely to break under pressure. Loudness may get attention for a moment, but steadiness builds trust over time. Voice control begins with awareness. Most people have never really listened to themselves. They do not know whether they sound rushed, hesitant, harsh, or flat. Yet the tone they carry shapes the way others perceive them. So start listening, literally. Record yourself speaking. Notice whether your tone matches your message. Are your sentences rushed? Is your voice thin or shallow because you are not breathing deeply? Do you sound like someone hoping to be accepted, or like someone who has already earned their place? Awareness is the first step toward mastery. Breathing is the hidden foundation of voice control. Shallow breathing feeds nervous energy into your words, making your voice shaky and uneven. Deep, steady breathing grounds you. It slows your pace, gives you power without strain, and naturally deepens your tone. Before an important conversation or meeting, pause. Let your body settle before you speak. That moment of preparation changes not just your sound, but your entire presence. Equally important is learning the discipline of silence. Strong leaders do not feel compelled to fill every gap. Weak communicators rush to cover pauses, fearing the quiet will make them look unprepared. In truth, silence can be one of your most powerful tools. It gives weight to your words, allowing people time to process. It communicates control. Control over yourself, over the moment, and over the message. Control also means managing your emotional triggers. Anyone can sound confident when the environment is friendly. But when your ideas are challenged, when someone's tone turns sharp, when you feel the pressure rising, that is the test. If your voice rises to match their aggression or drops into defensive weakness, you lose influence. But if you hold steady, firm, calm, and clear, you show a kind of authority that no title can give. The ultimate test of your voice is not whether you can project across a room, but whether you can project trust. People need to feel that your tone will not crack when things get hard. They need to sense that you are not swayed by every shift in mood or atmosphere. For the next 3 days, pay attention to your tone in every conversation. Notice when it sharpens, flattens, speeds up, or weakens. Notice how your breathing changes under stress. Then deliberately slow your pace and lower your voice just slightly in those moments. Train your voice to be the calm in the storm, not another wave in the chaos. If this chapter spoke to you, share it with someone whose leadership depends on their ability to be steady under pressure. And keep reading, because in the next chapter, we will explore how to make your words do more than just sound confident. We will make them move people into action. There is no shortage of voices in the world. Every day, people are bombarded with instructions, opinions, and ideas. Yet most of these words vanish without impact, slipping into the background noise of life. Leadership communication is not about adding to that noise. It is about cutting through it. It is about saying something that does not just inform, but ignites. The words that move people are not always the most polished or poetic. They are the ones that hit close to home. They reach into someone's reality and disrupt it just enough to make them see a reason to move. They carry both clarity and urgency. Clarity because no one will act on a vague idea. Urgency because no one will act on something that feels optional. A leader's words carry both in balance. Before you can speak words that move others, you must check your own motives. Are you speaking to impress or to impact? Many people deliver advice that sounds nice, but is disconnected from real life. They use language they think will be admired, not language that will be applied. People can sense the difference. They will forget a speech that was crafted for applause, but they will remember the person who told them the truth they needed to hear, even if it stung. If you want to move people, speak to their reality, not your image. Speak to their frustrations, their doubts, their hidden fears. Tell them the thing they have been avoiding saying to themselves. You do not need to dress it up. You need to make it unavoidable. Sometimes what stirs someone to act is not a gentle nudge, but a firm challenge. You have been waiting long enough. You have been hiding behind preparation long enough. You have been settling for less than you are capable of. Those words spoken with conviction can shake someone awake. When you have something important to say, do not bury it under a pile of examples. Say it once, say it clearly, then stop. Let the silence after your statement do its work. People need time to digest what you have said, to feel the weight of it. If you keep talking, you dilute the impact. Remember, more words do not mean more influence. Strong, well-placed words, followed by quiet, often speak the loudest. Moving people also requires painting a picture of what happens if they do not act. Not to create fear, but to create awareness. Show them the cost of standing still. Show them what they lose by waiting. Make it real. People rarely change without feeling the weight of inaction. They must see that staying the same is often more dangerous than taking the leap. Finally, the words that move people must come from a place you live, not a place you imagine. If you tell people to be disciplined, you must be disciplined yourself. If you tell them to take risks, they need to see that you have taken your own. Words spoken from experience carry a force that theory cannot match. People can tell when a message is rooted in truth that has been tested in the speaker's life. That is why your message must not only be clear and urgent, it must be yours. Here is your challenge. In your next meaningful conversation, identify the single most important truth the other person needs to hear. Deliver it cleanly in one sentence. Then stop. Let it land. Do not rush to explain it. Do not soften it. Trust the truth to do its work. If you found this chapter useful, share it with someone whose words are full of good intentions, but rarely lead to action. And keep going. Next, we will talk about how to choose words that not only inspire action, but also build lasting respect. People do not follow voices that are filled with uncertainty, hedged with soft phrases, or padded with meaningless fillers. They follow voices that are clean, precise, and decisive. Strong words are not necessarily loud or harsh. They are words that have been chosen with care, spoken with conviction, and backed by a life that proves them true. Every time you speak, you are either building credibility or eroding it. And credibility is the invisible currency of leadership. Weak words leak away your influence. Phrases like, I think, maybe, sort of, or kind of, create doubt before your message even begins. You may think these are harmless habits, but to the listener they signal hesitation. They say, I am not sure about this, so you do not have to be either. A leader cannot afford to introduce doubt into their own message. When you choose your words, strip away anything that leaves room for confusion. Say exactly what you mean. Speak as if you have already made the decision. Strong words are clear words. They leave no ambiguity about your intent. They are direct without being reckless, honest without being cruel. They do not dance around the truth. They land squarely on it. And because they are delivered with purpose, they hold attention. People feel the difference when you speak this way. They lean in. They remember. They repeat your words to others. But here is the deeper truth. You cannot fake strong words for long. If your life does not align with your message, your tone will eventually betray you. Real strength in your speech comes from internal discipline. It comes from living in a way that earns the right to be heard. When your words match your actions, your voice gains a kind of weight that does not depend on charm or force. It depends on integrity. Strong words also respect the listener's time. They are free of filler and fluff. They do not meander or over-explain. If something can be said in one clean sentence, a strong communicator will not stretch it into 3. This is not about being abrupt. It is about being disciplined enough to stop speaking when the message is delivered. The less you waste words, the more people value the ones you choose to say. Another element of strength is honesty. People may not always like what you say, but they will respect you for saying what matters. Weak communication tries to please everyone and ends up inspiring no one. Strong communication risks discomfort in the service of clarity. It is the difference between saying, we could improve this process, and saying this process is broken and we need to fix it now. The shift starts with you. You must train your inner voice to think in strong, clear terms before your outer voice can reflect it. Speak to yourself with confidence, and your public words will follow the same pattern. Here is your challenge. For the next week, monitor every conversation for weak language. Every time you hear yourself say, I think, maybe, probably, or kind of, stop and reframe your sentence with direct, decisive words. Replace, I think we should try, with we will. Replace, maybe we could, with here is what we will do. Notice how differently people respond when your words carry no escape hatch. If you have found this chapter valuable, share it with someone who needs to step into a stronger voice. And stay with me, because next we will deal with one of the most important skills a leader can have: speaking with strength when pressure tries to shake you. There is a quiet, invisible thread that runs through every conversation you have. It is the thread of belief, the belief you have in your own words. People can feel it. They may not analyze it, but they sense it instinctively. Weak talk is what happens when that thread is frayed or absent. It is when your sentences are padded with disclaimers, when your tone asks for permission instead of commanding attention, when you hide behind sorry or just or hopefully. instead of standing in your truth. And here is the hard truth. If you let weak talk become your habit, it will quietly teach the world to treat your voice as optional. Weak talk is not always about volume or tone. It is about intention. It comes from the fear of being wrong, the fear of being disliked, the fear of standing out. It is the safety net of words you throw in to protect yourself from judgment. But that safety net is made of threads so thin it cannot hold you. It will not protect you. It will only keep you from being heard. And in leadership, being unheard is the same as being invisible. The first step to dropping weak talk is to notice it. Catch the I think, the I guess, the maybe, the I am not sure. Catch the nervous laughter at the end of your statement, the way your voice rises into a question when you are actually making a declaration. These habits feel small, but they cut your authority in half. Every time you use them, you teach others that you are not fully behind your own words. Once you have caught them, you replace them. Instead of, I just think we should, you say, we should. Instead of, maybe it could work, you say, it will work if we do this. Instead of, I hope this makes sense, you say, this is the way forward. But there is something even more important than the replacement itself: the belief behind it. You cannot simply strip away the soft language if you still feel uncertain inside. Your internal conviction has to grow along with your external strength. That means doing the work to think deeply, prepare thoroughly, and decide firmly before you speak. Weak talk is born from half decisions. Strong talk comes from decisions you have already made. Speaking with strength is not about being aggressive. It is about being grounded. Aggression pushes to prove itself. Groundedness needs no proof. Strength in your voice is calm, steady, and intentional. It does not rush. It does not apologize for existing. It does not bend just because someone raises an eyebrow. It holds its ground without needing to shout. When you drop weak talk, you will notice something remarkable. People will interrupt you less. They will question you less. They will look at you differently. This is not because you have become someone else, but because you have removed the escape routes in your language. You now speak in a way that tells people you expect to be heard. Here is your challenge. For the next 48 hours, remove one weak phrase from your vocabulary. Choose the one you use most often. Maybe it is, I think, maybe, or just, and banish it completely. Replace it with clean, firm language. At first, it will feel blunt. Then, it will feel natural. Eventually, it will feel like the only way to speak. If you found value here, share this with someone who constantly undermines their own voice without realizing it. And keep reading, because in the next chapter, we will face the real test of a leader's voice. Holding your ground when others try to shake you. It is easy to sound strong when no one is pushing back. It is easy to feel confident when every face in the room is nodding along. But leadership is not tested in moments of agreement. It is tested in moments of resistance. Sooner or later, someone will challenge your words, your tone, your decisions. They will question you directly or undermine you indirectly. They may come with loud arguments or quiet smirks. And in that moment, you will face a choice. Stand firm in your truth or bend to their pressure. Most people bend without realizing it. The moment they sense disapproval, they soften their language. They backpedal. They start explaining themselves too much, trying to earn back agreement. But when you do that, you do not just lose the argument, you lose your presence. People stop trusting that you believe your own words. They see that your stance is negotiable, that your voice changes depending on who is in the room. And once they see that, your leadership is already fading. To hold your ground, you must first know where you stand. If your values are vague, if your beliefs are untested, pressure will expose the cracks. Clarity is your anchor. You have to decide, long before the challenge comes, what you believe and what you will not compromise. When that foundation is set, you do not have to scramble for words under pressure. They flow from the structure you have already built inside yourself. Holding your ground does not mean becoming rigid or arrogant. It means staying steady. It means keeping your tone calm when others try to escalate. It means resisting the urge to speed up your words when someone questions you. The more the energy in the room rises, the more you slow yourself down. This calmness is not weakness. It is power. It signals that you are not reacting to the environment. You are guiding it. Sometimes, the attempt to shake you will not be loud at all. It will be a raised eyebrow, a dismissive glance, a deliberately awkward silence. These moments can be even more challenging because they provoke self-doubt without a word being spoken. But the answer is the same. Do not move. Keep your body steady, your breathing deep, your eyes level. Hold the space as if nothing has changed, because if your message was true before the reaction, it is still true now. The people you lead are watching you in these moments, even if they say nothing. They are learning whether your voice is anchored or drifting. They are learning whether your message is built on convenience or conviction. And every time you stay firm, you teach them that you can be trusted, not because you always have the most popular answer, but because you do not collapse when challenged. Here is your challenge. In your next disagreement, resist the urge to explain yourself immediately. State your position clearly, then let it sit. If they push, repeat your point calmly. Do not add layers of justification to earn approval. Let your steadiness be the proof of your conviction. If you found this chapter meaningful, share it with someone who has a strong voice until the first sign of pushback. And stay with me, because in the next chapter, we will sharpen another crucial skill, making your point without dragging it into oblivion. In a world where attention is shrinking by the second, your ability to deliver a message concisely is no longer optional. It is essential. People are distracted before you even open your mouth. They are half listening, half scrolling, half thinking about their next task. If you drag your point out, they will mentally leave the conversation long before you finish. Leadership communication is not about saying everything you know. It is about saying exactly what matters and nothing more. Over-explaining is often rooted in doubt. When you are not sure your words will stand on their own, you try to prop them up with extra examples, repeated phrases, or unnecessary backstory. You think more words will make you safer. In reality, more words can make you weaker. They give people more chances to misunderstand you, to lose interest, or to pick apart details that do not matter. The strongest communicators deliver their main point early and cleanly. They do not circle around it. They do not layer it under a dozen other thoughts. They aim for precision. One clear statement that could stand on its own if the conversation ended there. Once that point is made, they only add what is essential for understanding, not for self-protection. This discipline requires you to think before you speak. You must decide what the core of your message is, and you must have the courage to trust it without smothering it in repetition. The fear of being misunderstood can push you to keep talking, but here is the truth. If you are clear, you will be understood, and if you are not, adding more words will not fix it. It will only bury the point deeper. Brevity is not coldness. It is respect for your time and for theirs. In a world where people are used to long, vague monologues, a sharp, purposeful statement feels different. It makes them sit up. It makes them listen more carefully next time, because they know you will not waste their focus. There is also a confidence in brevity that cannot be faked. When you speak concisely, you signal that you trust your own message. You do not feel the need to decorate it or defend it endlessly. You know it can stand on its own legs. That trust transfers to your listener. They begin to believe in what you are saying because you clearly believe in it yourself. Here is your challenge. For the next 3 important conversations, deliver your main point in one sentence before saying anything else. Imagine that the listener will remember only that sentence, crafted accordingly. Then, once it is said, stop. Let the silence do some of the work for you. You will find that the pause often drives the message deeper than any extra words could. If you found this chapter useful, share it with someone who has a habit of talking past their own point. And keep going, because in the next chapter, we will step into a higher level of communication, speaking in a way that people do not just hear, but remember long after the conversation is over. The world is filled with words, spoken, typed, shouted, and shared. Yet only a small fraction of them live beyond the moment they are delivered. Most are forgotten within minutes, drowned in the constant flood of new noise. If you want to lead, you cannot afford for your words to vanish like that. You must speak in a way that leaves a mark. You must aim not just to be heard in the moment, but to be remembered when the moment is over. Being remembered is not about using fancy language or dramatic delivery. It is about saying something that matters deeply enough to echo in the mind of the listener. It is about speaking truth so clearly that people carry it with them into their decisions, their actions, their lives. People remember conviction. They remember clarity. They remember the sentence that cut through the fog and showed them exactly what needed to be done. This kind of speaking requires intention. You do not just talk because it is your turn. You do not speak to fill silence. You wait until you have something that will either help, challenge, or elevate the person listening. That means thinking before you speak, shaping your words so they are both clean and weighted. The most remembered words are often the simplest. They are short enough to repeat and strong enough to matter. When your message is easy to repeat, it multiplies. It leaves your mouth and travels into other conversations, other rooms, other lives. That is how influence grows, not just by what you say directly, but by how far your words travel after you leave. To speak in a way that stays, you must also remove the performance. People do not remember the perfect sentence nearly as much as they remember the real one. If your message is raw and true, if it comes from a place you have lived and learned, it will outlast the most polished speech. They may forget your exact phrasing, but they will remember how your words made them feel, the shift they sparked inside, the decision they prompted. Do not be afraid to speak to someone's future instead of their comfort. Most people are surrounded by voices telling them to slow down, to wait, to settle. speak as if you can see past their hesitation into the version of themselves they are meant to become. Here's your challenge. In your next meaningful conversation, aim to leave them with one line they could repeat to someone else later, one sentence that captures the truth they most need. Craft it carefully, deliver it cleanly, and trust it to live beyond the moment. If you have found this chapter powerful, share it with someone who wants their voice to matter more than just in the moment. And keep going, because in the next chapter, we will turn from one-time impact to long-term mastery. Training your voice daily until leading with it becomes second nature. A strong voice is not a gift, it is a skill. And like every skill, it is built through deliberate practice, not occasional bursts of effort. The leaders whose voices seem naturally steady, persuasive, and commanding are not born that way. They have trained themselves day after day, conversation after conversation, until their tone, pace, and presence became instinctive. They have practiced in rooms that did not matter, so they would be ready in rooms that did. If you wait until the high-stakes moment to work on your voice, it will betray you. Your voice under pressure is nothing more than a reflection of your habits in ordinary moments. Daily voice training is not just about sound. It is about building the mental and emotional discipline to control that sound. Your breathing, your posture, your mindset, and even your physical energy levels all shape how your voice comes across. If you neglect these, no amount of speaking tips will save you. A tired, tense body produces a thin and shaky voice. A scattered mind produces scattered words, and people can hear it. They may not know exactly why, but they will feel the difference between a voice that is anchored and a voice that is drifting. You must train your voice the way an athlete trains their body, not only in performance, but in recovery, alignment, and conditioning. That means paying attention to your breathing, even in casual conversations. That means practicing pacing while you talk to a friend, not just during a presentation. It means standing tall and speaking from your chest, even when you are ordering coffee. Every word you speak is either reinforcing your leadership voice or eroding it. One of the most overlooked aspects of daily training is intentional listening. A powerful voice is built on the ability to hear yourself as others hear you. That is why you must get used to recording yourself, not just in formal settings, but in everyday talk. Listen for habits that weaken your authority. Fillers, rushed phrases, nervous laughter, uneven tone. Once you hear them, you can begin replacing them with stronger patterns. This process is uncomfortable at first. Most people hate hearing their own recorded voice. But that discomfort is a sign you are confronting what you sound like, not just what you think you sound like. Equally important is training your emotional steadiness. Your voice is the bridge between your mind and your listener. And if the bridge shakes, they will not cross. This is why you must practice speaking calmly in moments of stress, when you are frustrated, when you are tired, when you are being interrupted. If you can hold your voice steady in those conditions, you will be unshakable when it matters most. Daily training also means sharpening your clarity. Every day, challenge yourself to explain something important in the fewest possible words. This forces you to think with precision, which naturally shapes your speech into something tighter and more impactful. Over time, you will find that your conversations become more focused without effort, because you have trained your brain to aim for clarity first. Another layer of training is physical conditioning. A strong voice comes from a strong breath, and strong breath comes from a strong body. Regular exercise, especially activities that strengthen your core, gives your voice depth and endurance. Slouched posture and shallow breathing will always make you sound less certain than you are. Standing tall, expanding your lungs, and speaking from your diaphragm transforms your tone instantly. This is why some of the best speakers in history trained like performers, not just thinkers. You also need to train your silence. A leader's voice is not only what is said, it is the rhythm between what is said. Silence is a tool. It gives people space to absorb your message, and it communicates that you are not desperate to fill the air. Daily practice in using silence without discomfort changes the way people perceive you. Try it in low-stakes conversations. Say your point, then pause. Do not rush to fill the gap. Let others speak first. Over time, you will find that your pauses make people lean in, waiting for what comes next. And then there is tone variation. A monotone voice drains energy from even the most important message, while an uncontrolled, overly varied tone feels chaotic. Your daily goal is balance, using shifts in tone to emphasize what matters without losing steadiness. Read aloud for a few minutes each day, practicing emphasis on key words while keeping your pace calm and your breathing deep. This simple exercise will make your live communication far more engaging. The truth is, training your voice daily is less about finding time and more about removing excuses. You do not need a stage to practice. You have dozens of conversations each day, each one a chance to build strength, clarity, and steadiness. The question is not whether you have opportunities to train, it is whether you will use them intentionally. If you commit to this discipline, there will come a day when you do not have to try to sound like a leader. Your voice will simply carry leadership because it has been shaped by countless small moments of practice. You will no longer feel the spike of panic before speaking because you will know you are ready, not because you hope you are, but because you have built yourself to be. Here is your challenge. For the next week, choose one element of your voice: breathing, pacing, tone, clarity, or silence, and practice it in every conversation, no matter how small. Do it until it becomes natural, then move to the next element. This slow layering of skills will transform your voice into a constant signal of strength. If you have found this chapter valuable, share it with someone who wants to lead not just with their ideas, but with the way they sound every time they speak. And keep going, because in the next chapter, we will explore how to shape your words so they do not just show confidence in the moment, but build loyalty over time. A leader's voice can command action in the moment, but if that action is driven only by authority, it will fade the moment you are not present. True leadership communication does not just move people, it roots them in a deeper connection to you and to the mission. That connection is loyalty, and loyalty cannot be demanded. It must be earned, one word and one interaction at a time. Compliance is when people do what you say, because they have to. Loyalty is when they do it because they want to. The difference lies in the way your words make them feel about themselves, their work, and their relationship with you. Compliance is built on control. Loyalty is built on trust and respect. Compliance relies on pressure. Loyalty thrives on shared purpose. If you want your leadership to last, you must master the art of speaking in a way that builds that shared purpose into every conversation. It is speaking to people as if they are intelligent, capable, and essential. Too many leaders speak in a tone that subtly communicates, "I am above you." When people feel like your words are for them, not just at them, they lean in, use language that invites rather than commands. Instead of saying, "You need to get this done," say, "Here is why this matters and how we can get it done together." When your words tell them, "I trust you with this," or "You are capable of more than you think," they begin to see themselves differently. That new self-image fuels loyalty because they associate that growth with your leadership. This is not flattery. It is a deliberate recognition of potential, backed by real opportunities for them to prove it. Consistency is the fourth pillar. If your tone changes wildly depending on your mood, people will not know which version of you they will get. This unpredictability erodes trust, and trust is the soil in which loyalty grows. Your voice must carry the same steadiness, whether the news is good or bad, whether you are under pressure or at ease. Consistency tells people, "You can count on me," and over time, they will give you that same reliability in return. Another powerful tool for building loyalty is shared language. When you repeat certain key phrases or principles, they become part of your team's identity. People begin to repeat them to each other, and those words become a kind of glue that holds the group together. These shared phrases do more than remind. They unite. They signal, "This is who we are," and that identity deepens commitment. Of course, none of this matters if your words are not backed by actions. Loyalty dies quickly when promises are broken, or when leaders say one thing and do another. Every time your actions contradict your words, you withdraw from the trust account you have built. Eventually, that account runs dry, and no amount of persuasive speech can refill it. The only way to protect it is to speak with precision, say only what you mean, and mean only what you can deliver. Finally, building loyalty means showing up in moments that matter to others, not just when they matter to others, not just when they matter to you. The words you speak in someone's personal challenge, small victory, or quiet moment of doubt often last longer than anything you say in a meeting. When people feel that you see them as more than a role, they give you more than the minimum in return. Here is your challenge. Over the next 3 days, choose one person you lead and intentionally speak to them in a way that builds loyalty. Acknowledge their value. Include them in your vision. Share a phrase or principle you want to become part of your shared language. Then watch how their engagement changes, not because you demanded it, but because you drew it out of them. If this chapter has resonated with you, share it with someone who wants to move beyond temporary authority and into lasting influence. And keep reading, because in the next chapter we will unlock the secret to speaking in a way that earns not just loyalty, but deep respect that outlasts titles and positions. Respect is not the same as being liked, and it is certainly not the same as being feared. Fear fades when your authority is out of sight. Being liked may win you temporary goodwill, but it does not guarantee that people will follow you when the path becomes steep. Respect, however, is different. Respect is the quiet acknowledgement of your consistency, your competence, and your character. It is what makes people listen to you, even when they disagree, trust you, even when they doubt, and follow you, even when the way forward is uncertain. The words you choose and the way you deliver them play a central role in building that respect. Earning respect begins with truthfulness. People may forgive a leader who is wrong, but they rarely forgive one who is dishonest. Every time you speak, you are making a promise, whether you realize it or not. You are promising that the information is accurate, that your intent is clear, and that your motives are aligned with the good of those you lead. When your words consistently match reality, respect grows. When they do not, it dies instantly. One exaggerated claim, one half-truth, one convenient omission can undo years of credibility. That is why respect starts with disciplined speech, saying only what is true, even when the truth is uncomfortable. The second element of respect is clarity under pressure. Anyone can sound composed when things are going well, but in moments of crisis, the world listens differently. They notice whether your voice wavers, whether your tone turns frantic, whether your words scatter in panic. A leader who can speak clearly when everyone else is drowning in confusion becomes a pillar in the storm. This clarity is not the absence of emotion. It is the refusal to let emotion rule your message. It tells people, I'm still thinking, I'm still seeing the way forward. The third element is fairness in your language. Respect is built when people know that you will not speak down to them, mock them, or dismiss them. It is when they know that even in disagreement, your words will be directed at the issue, not at their worth. Leaders who attack personally may win a battle, but they lose the war of respect. People remember how you made them feel, especially when they were vulnerable. If your words leave them feeling humiliated, they will never trust you again. Another powerful respect builder is consistency of tone. If you are warm one day and cold the next, if your words of encouragement are followed by unpredictable bursts of irritation, people will not feel safe in your leadership. When your words reflect the long view, not just the immediate win, short-sighted communication focused only on quick results can motivate for a moment, but it often leaves people burned out or feeling used. When you speak with an awareness of the bigger picture, when you remind people of where the path leads beyond this moment, you show that you care about their growth as much as the goal. That perspective makes them see you not just as a boss, but as a guide. And, perhaps most importantly, respect grows when your words match the way you show up in silence. People listen closely to what you say in public, but they watch more closely in private moments. If you speak with respect in the spotlight, but gossip, belittle, or speak carelessly in the shadows, the truth will surface. Lasting respect is earned in those unseen moments when there is nothing to gain from speaking well, but you do it anyway. Here is your challenge. For the next week, before you speak in any important situation, ask yourself 2 questions. Is this true? Will this build respect? If the answer to either is no, reshape your words until both are yes. Over time, this simple discipline will make your voice one that people lean toward rather than away from. If this chapter has been meaningful to you, share it with someone who wants to be more than liked or obeyed. They want to be respected for the way they lead. And stay with me, because in the next chapter, we will focus on the rarest and most magnetic leadership quality of all, making people feel seen and understood through your words. There is a certain kind of leader whose words seem to land deeper than anyone else's. It is not because they have the most authority, the most charisma, or the loudest voice. It is because when they speak, people feel as if they are the only person in the room. Their words cut through the noise and touch the listeners' inner world. They do not just deliver information, they deliver recognition. And in a world where most people feel unseen, that is magnetic. To make people feel seen, you must first decide to see them. Too many leaders speak from a place of assumption, projecting their own view onto everyone without pausing to understand the other person's reality. Seeing someone begins with listening, not the kind of listening where you are just waiting for your turn to speak, but listening with the intent to understand. It means asking questions that invite more than surface-level answers. It means noticing what is not said, the hesitation before they answer, the quick glance away, the shift in their tone. When you gather this understanding, your words can address their reality instead of just your agenda. When people feel understood, your words gain a weight that cannot be faked. You can give the same instruction to two different people, but when one feels unseen, they will treat it as a task. When the other feels understood, they will treat it as a trust. This shift turns obligation into ownership, and ownership fuels loyalty far more than commands ever could. To speak in a way that makes people feel seen, you must also match your tone to the moment. Too many leaders default to a single professional tone for every situation, but a tone that works in a strategy meeting may feel cold in a one-on-one where someone is struggling. The ability to soften without losing strength, to encourage without diluting clarity, is what allows your words to meet people where they are. This adaptability is not weakness. It is precision. You also have to acknowledge emotion directly. Many leaders avoid this because they fear it will slow down progress. But ignoring someone's feelings does not make them disappear. It only drives them underground, where they quietly erode trust and commitment. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is not a solution, but a statement of recognition. I can see this is frustrating, or I understand this is important to you. Those words open the door for everything that follows to be heard more deeply. Making people feel seen is not about endless praise or constant agreement. It is about alignment, showing that you understand their perspective, even if you ultimately choose a different path. Respect grows when people know you considered their reality before making a decision. And the simple act of saying, "I hear you," or "Here's what I took from what you said," can change the way your next instruction is received. Perhaps the most important part of this skill is presence. If your mind is half on the conversation and half on your phone, your words will be hollow. People can feel when you are somewhere else. But when you give them the full weight of your attention, when your eyes, your posture, and your tone all say, "Right now, you are the priority," your words carry the rare authority of someone who truly values the person in front of them. Here is your challenge. In your next important conversation, spend twice as much time listening as speaking. Repeat back what you have heard before, offering your own perspective. Then, when you speak, make sure your words address both the facts and the feelings you have heard. Notice how differently the other person receives what you say. If you have found this chapter meaningful, share it with someone who wants their words to go beyond instruction and into true connection. And prepare yourself. because the next chapter is a turning point. It will not just teach you a technique. It will reset your mindset so you carry these principles forward as a permanent part of who you are. Everything you have learned so far about speaking like a leader will collapse if your mindset is still chained to old patterns. Techniques can be practiced, but if they are built on a foundation of insecurity, fear, or the need for approval, they will eventually crack under pressure. Before you speak another word to influence others, you must decide who you are when you speak. Most people approach communication from the outside in. They focus on tone, pacing, word choice, hoping that if they sound right, they will feel right. But the reverse is true. Real authority comes from the inside out. When you believe deeply in your value, when you are clear on your principles, when you have already decided that your worth is not up for debate, your voice will carry that truth without you having to force it. This is why the inner reset must come before the outer expression. The first shift is to move from proving to serving. If you speak to prove your intelligence, you will sound defensive. If you speak to prove your importance, you will sound desperate. But if you speak to serve the listener, whether that means guiding them, challenging them, or encouraging them, your voice will naturally gain authority. Service strips away the ego's need for applause. It focuses you on impact rather than image, and people can feel the difference instantly. Many voice, but a leader's voice sets the tone. It does not wait to see what the room feels like. It decides what the room will feel like. This is why you must enter conversations already grounded, already steady, already clear on your intention. When you own the atmosphere of your words, you no longer get dragged into someone else's emotional current. The third shift is from some temporary effort to permanent identity. Too many people treat confident speaking as something they switch on when needed. But leadership communication is not a performance. It is who you are, everywhere, with everyone. If you only speak with clarity and conviction in formal moments, but let yourself drift into weak talk or careless tone in daily life, you will never build the muscle memory to be steady under pressure. Decide that this is simply how you speak now, not because of the stage you are on, but because it is the standard you live by. Resetting your mindset also means raising your standards for what you will allow yourself to say. Weak, unfocused, or careless language is not harmless. It is practice for more of the same. From this point forward, commit that every time you speak, it will either create clarity, build trust, or move something forward. If it does not, choose silence. That discipline alone will separate you from most voices in the world. Finally, this reset requires you to confront the fear of not being liked. Many leaders soften their message, dilute their tone, or avoid hard truths because they want to be accepted. But the respect that matters most is not the shallow approval of everyone. It is the deep trust of the people who know you will speak the truth, even when it costs you. In that minute, remind yourself who you are. why you are speaking, and what outcome you want to create. Step into the conversation as if nothing in the room can shake that foundation. Speak from that place and notice how different your words feel, not just to them, but to you. If this chapter has struck a chord, share it with someone who is ready to stop trying to sound like a leader and start thinking like one. And get ready, because the final chapter will bring everything together, not as a summary, but as a call to embody this voice from now until your last breath. From this moment forward, your voice is no longer just a tool. It is a reflection of your identity, your convictions, and your legacy. The words you choose, the tone you hold, and the presence you bring into every conversation will either confirm who you are or betray it. You have walked through the principles, the techniques, the mindset shifts, but none of it matters if you treat them as temporary habits. This is not a style you put on. This is the skin you live in. A leader's voice is not confined to the stage or the meeting room. It is in the way you speak to a stranger when no one is watching. It is in the way you respond to frustration when the world is not applauding. It is in the way you encourage the tired, challenge the complacent, and guide the lost. Your voice is the thread that runs through your life, weaving trust, clarity, and strength into the spaces you enter. And every day, you are either strengthening that thread or letting it fray. You must decide that from now on, your voice will always serve the truth you believe in, the people you lead, and the standards you live by. That means you will not lower your tone to match the chaos of the moment. You will not shrink your message to avoid discomfort. You will not let fear choose your words for you. You are not here to be remembered for sounding good. You are here to be remembered for shifting something inside people that could not be moved without you. That is the real test of leadership. Years from now, the people you lead may not recall every sentence you spoke, but they will remember the way you made them see themselves differently, the way you made them believe. Carrying your voice as your life's signature also means you are never off the record. Every conversation is a chance to lead, whether it is in a crowded boardroom or a quiet hallway. Every moment is either reinforcing your authority or eroding it. This is not pressure, it is opportunity. It means that every word you speak is another chance to leave behind something worth carrying forward. So speak with intention, always. Speak in a way that could be repeated without embarrassment. Speak as if the words you are saying might be the ones someone holds on to in their hardest moment. Speak so that even if you were gone tomorrow, your voice would still be guiding them. That is what it means to lead through language. And here is the truth you cannot forget. Show up. Speak anyway. Let your tone be steady, your words be clear, and your presence be certain. Those who lead themselves in private will always lead others in public. Your challenge is no longer a practice. It is a way of life. Starting now, carry your voice as the unshakable signal of who you are. Let it be the proof of your discipline, the echo of your convictions, the bridge between what you believe and what you build. And when people hear it, let them know without question, This is a leader speaking. If this final message has resonated with you, share it widely. Someone out there is waiting for a voice like yours to show them what is possible. Now go and be that voice every day, in every place, without apology. Thank you for being here and listening with your whole heart. Life doesn't change overnight, but every time you paused, if these words resonate with you, please share them. Because somewhere out there, someone who feels lost might just need a quiet whisper to remember they are not alone. And if you too need a daily companion on your journey, don't forget to stay here with me. Because in this space, there will always be someone ready to walk with you and gently remind you you are on the right path. Keep building your inner strength. Your growth doesn't stop here. Listen to the next. You know what? You're on the right path.